Okay.
Okay. Hey everyone, welcome back. Welcome so much to our guest today, Sadie. Sadie is a total powerhouse when it comes to helping overwhelmed creators transform half-finished ideas into truly thriving streams of passive income. She has amazing expertise in AI-powered systems, and she guides creators to turn their chaotic to-do list into money-making products. I'm really excited to chat with Sadie today and dive into her background, how she got into this world. And I know you're going to learn so much from her. So, Sadie, welcome. So glad to have you.
Hi, thank you.
Okay, so let's just dive right in here. Tell us how, and I know you have a very interesting story. So, tell us how you got into what you're doing now. What's the backstory?
Yeah, it's such a long story. It's always hard to pick out like the most
Where do
important
you
parts
start?
to
Yeah.
tell, right? So yeah, the business I have now, Passive Income Pathways, is we launched it about 3 years ago. And this is a business where I teach people to turn their blogs and their knowledge into low ticket memberships. And all of that was like born out of necessity because I got sick. I got thyroid cancer like 6 years ago. And then I spent the following 3 to 4 years in and out of the hospital, procedures, surgeries, in bed, all of that. So the way I had previously been doing business, I was a blogger. I have been a blogger for nearly 2 decades, but I was hustling and I was having clients and doing virtual assistant work. And that was not going to work anymore whenever I didn't know when I was going to be in the hospital and when I was actually going to have energy to do work. And it stressed me out too much to have like all of these deadlines and clients and such. So whenever I switched to the low ticket membership model, like everything just became so much easier. And so I went all in on teaching that. But like I said, I've been blogging for probably close to 20 years now because my youngest is 18. So close to that. And whenever I was pregnant with her, I was homeless and I already had 2 kids. So whenever we were moving out of the shelter into housing that they had gotten for us, I knew that like I couldn't afford daycare for 3 kids when I had just got out of the homeless shelter. And I've never had a degree, ADHD, gone to college like 5 times, but never finished anything. And I knew that working and making $7 an hour, like nothing was ever going to change. Um, so even though the online space wasn't what it is today, it was like 2006 when I started working online. That's when the virtual assisting and the blogging and, I started making money with all of that. But again, that was out of necessity. I definitely would have liked to go and have a nice job with a 401k and all that stuff, but I didn't have that option. So all of the good things in my life have been born out of not necessarily the best situations, but necessity and they've flourished and I'm really thankful for that.
Well, it's interesting to hear your story because I think they're kind of like two different types of people. The sort of people like you who were in probably what you would categorize as intense circumstances where you felt a lot of pressure. It's one thing to experience homelessness as an individual, but then to also have children to be taken
Yeah.
care of. I imagine that adds an entire additional layer. And you really took those circumstances and were like, I'm going to power through. I'm going to figure it out. And then other people, and I'm not saying one is better than the other. It's just some people in those circumstances wouldn't necessarily go this route and thrive in that way. Because I don't necessarily think building an online business is the easy road. It's challenging. Like you said, a nice cushy 9 to 5 401k gig doesn't sound too bad, right? It sounds kind of great. I often joke that that is enticing. Go to work, come home,
Right.
right? You can close the door, leave your stuff at the
Right.
office.
Yeah, and like you with a job like that, like what's expected of you. You
Yeah.
you have somebody telling you what to do and like yeah, there's definitely pros and cons to it. I'm so thankful though that I did push through and figure out how to work online because yeah, like you said, not everybody's going to do it that way. When I was in the shelter, I was one of we were one of 15 families. And out of all 15, I'm the only one, even to this day, who has become financially successful. And that's so hard because there's so many layers to everything we went through that landed us in the shelter, what happened at the shelter, what happened after the shelter, and all of that. And it's hard to know like why I did all of this and they were not able to, but yeah, it's definitely two different types of people. And like everybody always says know your why, but for me, there's always this motor running inside of me because I never want to have to go back to being homeless, being on food stamps, being embarrassed to have to take out my food stamp card at the grocery store or have my WIC vouchers and hold up the line for 30 minutes because they're so complex. That stuff was really embarrassing and a lot of times traumatizing to me, and I didn't want that for my kids. So I wanted to get us off of food stamps and into a better financial situation before they were old enough to realize what the heck was going on.
Well, I think that is amazing, and I'm excited for you to share more about the stuff that came after, out of, as a result of all of your hard work and focus. Okay, so you're building this online business. What did you do first? How did you know what direction to head in?
Yeah, so I knew that I wanted to teach people how to blog with AI because I had been teaching people how to blog for a long, long time. And I just did it on my blog for free, that kind of thing. My blog I sold it for multiple six figures whenever I got sick. And then I had to find something new to do. So I'm like, why not teach them how to blog with AI? AI was still brand new for the mainstream. I know it's
Hmm.
been around for a long time, but for our area, definitely brand new. And people weren't quite ready for where my brain was at. So when I said like blogging with AI, they did not like it. So long story short, I named the business Passive Income Pathways because I was teaching people how to make money blogging, which is considered passive income, even though it's, ish, in my opinion.
100%,
But
it's ish.
but I feel like the reason I still use the phrase passive income is because of the compounding effect.
Mhm.
If blogging and low ticket memberships didn't have that compounding effect, I don't think it would be fair to call it passive-ish even because you do still have to work on it. It's just like once you lay that solid foundation that first year, everything compounds so much nothing else does that.
Mhm.
Like your client business isn't going to compound. You can't clone yourself and just automatically compound everything, right? It's always more work hiring more people. So that's the reason I feel comfortable saying passive-ish. But yeah, it's still work no matter what. But yeah, we launched I keep saying I launched Passive Income Pathways, like I said, about 3 years ago, started teaching people how to blog, and then in that process, I knew I needed a path for them because people weren't really understanding how I made money with my blog. And I had previously had a low ticket membership. So I started teaching people how I did my low ticket membership. And now, thankfully, it has taken a while. We have a step by step tiny little steps instead of big steps path for everybody to follow so they can create their blog and YouTube channel, build their email list, and then as their audience is growing, launch their low ticket membership. And again, this is like it's to match up with your energy. So if you have ADHD, if you have brain fog, if you have chronic illness, if you're always tired, like the reason that we do low ticket memberships is because they're so low lift compared to other things that make that same money.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, obviously, you've worked with probably a high volume of creators at this point. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Okay, so what would you say in your experience has been the most common obstacle that you see creators face, and what's the trick to help them overcome that?
Honestly, I think overthinking and um, procrastinating by way of perfectionism. And
Mm,
so people will say, oh, I need to do this. I need to reiterate. I need to do this. I need to, it's not perfect yet. But it almost becomes like a crutch because you know it'll never be perfect. So then you never have to hit publish and you never have to put yourself out there and be scared like that. So they get in the overthinking cycle and then it turns into the procrastination cycle and they just don't hit publish. And unfortunately, there's no real like magic answer for this other than just hit the freaking publish button.
Hmm.
Like, knock it off. Just stop overthinking and press the publish button. And I know that that's not what
Yeah.
overthinkers are going to want to hear, but I literally just launched a challenge to make $100,000 outside of my Pips business because my Pips business is already established. It's making multiple six figures. I wanted to do something fun and interesting. So on my personal blog over on Wandering Smileys, it's a travel blog, but I'm like, hey, traveling costs money. This fits. I launched a 100K challenge. In 2025, my husband and I are going to make $100,000 outside of our business. And we started on Christmas. It goes from Christmas to Christmas. And basically people are just watching us and I'm telling them what we're doing and showing them what works and what doesn't work and probably falling on my face a few times. But I came up with the idea to create some books under a pen name. And from the time I created the idea till I published my first book was like 3 or 4 days. It wasn't very long. And the overthinking kicked in, like, oh my gosh, this book's too short. Everybody's gonna think it's crap. And then, like, oh my gosh, is that the right pen name? And it did kick in, but I kept moving while it was happening. And that's the difference. Most people, when they're overthinking, they freeze.
Yeah.
Me, when the doubts and the overthinking and everything kicks in, I just let it play in my head, but I keep going. So I keep typing and I keep, you know, going until I hit publish. And right now, literally in another tab, I'm reformatting that book that I published, even though it hit bestseller status in its category. I'm reformatting it because that was just the first version. It was not great. It was good. It was fine, but it wasn't great. Now I ordered my book, got it in my hands, and I'm like, oh, I could improve here, 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 here. Now I'm reiterating and I'm going to put it, republish it. But I've already gotten a bunch of sales. Hopefully, I'm going to be getting reviews soon. Can you imagine if I'd spent all this time trying to make it perfect? I'd be publishing it what now instead of republishing it now because I wasn't scared to put something out there that wasn't perfect. I didn't let my overthinking stop me. I was scared, but I pressed the publish button anyway. So my advice is just do it scared.
I love that. There's so many things I could dig into with this too, and I really want to, but I also want to ask you about the AI aspect of running your businesses. And I'm assuming that with this new, I don't know if you want to call it like hobby or side business, whatever, that you're doing outside of passive income pathways, that you're using AI to help get those products out there pretty fast. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I use AI for anything in my business that I can. And I a lot of people use it for automation and to replace what they're like people and their human aspect of it, but I don't do that. I use the robots for the tasks I don't like the tedious stuff, like reformatting this even. I'm copying and pasting a page in at a time, and I told Claude like reformat it this way, and I'm copying and pasting it back. So like I know what I want it to look like. So I told the robot, and the robot's doing it, and all I have to do is copy and paste. Whereas if I wasn't using AI, I'd have to be typing all day and reiterating and all of that. So, like any spot that I can in my business, anything that's tedious, anything that I need help improving. So, like, for example, with this book, whenever I wrote this book, it only took me like, think about 2 days to write. And I just took like all of it's an EFT tapping book. I took all of my notes, I took pictures of them with my phone, uploaded them into Claude, and I said, outline a book for me. And so it took all of my stuff, outlined it nicely. Like I have ADHD, so sometimes my thoughts, like they're freaking amazing, but they're like all over the place. And so I can just dump them into Claude, any AI, and get them all sorted. And then the next thing is like, hey, Claude, okay, I want to turn this into the book. what is my next step? And then Claude's like, this is your next step. And it's like, it's just so cool because it's like having an assistant there all the time that you can bounce ideas off of, that you can have like Claude expands on your ideas, organizes them, and you're like, okay, I have to do all this stuff. Can you help me prioritize it? Like, there's just so much that you can do with AI from a personal perspective, like helping with your help desk and knowing how to respond to someone and not offend them, all the way to automating the heck out of everything you can. So you free up your brain and your creativity, and you're able to have that 110% creativity. You're not having to waste it on the tedious stuff and then have your creativity meter at 30%.
I think there's so much power to AI that even I haven't even tapped into yet. So I'm always very fascinated to hear from somebody who, like you, have really been tapping into that for decades now. You can say it's been 2 decades of this. Is there maybe like a top three list of tools, AI faves that you have that you would recommend for creators?
Yeah, so Claude is my favorite. I love Claude. ChatGPT is okay, but once you use Claude, like it's almost like it's human. It's kind of scary. So Claude would be my number one. And then if you're blogging, doing videos to blog posts, doing social media, all of that, write Blogger, because it's 30 bucks a month for unlimited everything. And they've got like 85 AI tools in there, and they're all trained. It was created by bloggers. So like they're all trained on the right stuff. It's not just a random like ChatGPT, you have to train it. Write Blogger, already all trained. So those are my two favorite AI tools. And then something that isn't AI but is probably as helpful. I'm in a membership called the Template Treehouse. It's pretty new, but inside there's all these templates, and then there's all these done for you products. And obviously that's not AI, but like taking those and using AI and then publishing them, like it makes it really, really fast. So the workflow would be starting with a template or a done for you product that's good, which is rare to find, which is why I gave Template Treehouse a shout out. And then taking it over to AI and being like, okay, this is a workbook. It's plain. This is my business. This is what I want it to be. And then editing what AI puts out and then hitting publish. And I know that's a lot. So my freebie that I have for your people actually is kind of like a pipeline. So it's got all the prompts, and they can use it to go from, okay, this is my idea. How do I go from idea all the way to being able to hit publish? Because it kind of feels like a game of shoots and ladders sometimes. You're like going, you're awesome, and you're like, oh crap, you fall down that slide and you're like starting all over, and then you get bored if especially if you have ADHD. So it's like the way that I do this system, it's step by step by step. And then if you get bored with this product, you can hop over to another product, but like all your progress is saved basically. So you don't lose any of your ideas, and you can use AI to, push you through that process and get them published, which is really what matters. Because if you don't hit publish, like it's not even about the money. It's why are you creating content? Well, you're creating products, hopefully, to help people. If you don't hit publish, you can't help anybody. So there's literally somebody sitting on the other side of the screen struggling. Your person is on the other side of the screen, and she is struggling, and you're over here too scared to hit the publish button. So not only are you not making money, you're also not helping her solve whatever problem that you can help her solve. So that's why I wanted to do like the AI powered pipeline, so we can get those products out there and really help people.
Beautifully put, Sadie. Thank you so much. You mentioned the prompt locker that you have. So is there anything more that you want to share about that? We'll link to that in our the blog version and the show notes of this, of course. But anything else you want to mention?
Yeah, so it is a prompt locker, so I've got a bunch of prompts in there. But really the whole like the heart of it is really just to get you to be able to publish a product and save your stuff. That's why it's called a locker, because we all have tons of ideas. So you dump all of them in there, and then you select where you're at in the process, and then depending on the energy you have for the day, oh, I'm going to go do this one because it only needs this little thing to get published. Or I'm going to go work on ideation because that's fun for me and I have some, energy and I want to do that. So it's all about like using your energy levels, not forcing yourself. Then there's friction. You want everything to be a slip and slide. So really just making your whole process a slip and slide by choosing what you're working on and slowly but surely getting all of them published.
Sadie, I just have to say it's been such a joy listening to you talk because I feel like you're the perfect example of somebody who didn't build your life around your business. You built your business around your life. And just hearing you talk about using energy levels that you have and avoiding that friction is so powerful and important. It can really help you just reach that next level in your goal. So thank you for emphasizing that.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you want to share with our listeners before we wrap up?
I think the only thing I have to say is just like go hit the freaking publish button.
I love that. We will end there because that is so important. Mic drop. All right, Sadie, thank you so much.
Thank you.